So let's bring on Diederick Jacobs, Diedo, as he's known, of House of Chimera. There he is, the man
Hey,
himself.
hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Welcome to the
Yeah,
show, buddy.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure. It's
So,
really cool.
yeah, man. I mean, I know you have been following the show, so I wanted to get
hmm
you on here and kind of talk about your House of Chimera and what kind of led you here.
hmm
Can you talk about like your own background and like what the inspiration, I guess, for House of Chimera, like what made you want to bring House of Chimera to the forefront?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually quite young still. I'm only 24.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I'm only 24. And when I graduated my bachelor's, which was around, I have a bachelor's in finance. So I graduated and like every finance guy does basically, you
Sure.
go search for a job, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's the simple thing to do. So I went to a bank. It's a small bank in the Netherlands. And I wasn't really ready for finance yet because I
Sure.
heard so many of these horror stories and all that you have to overwork and all that. I was like, yeah, I think I was 22 back then. I was like, yeah, let's not. Let's just take something within the bank which is more safe and I can see whatever. Yeah, I can see it from there. So I went for compliance. Biggest mistake ever. But still, so I went for compliance and especially cryptocurrency compliance.
Okay.
So within the bank, there were only a few people which were able to do it. So basically,
Sure.
what you had to do is like, whenever someone had some exposure to crypto, you really had to check, could they launder money? And if so, why?
Right.
And maybe they could do something, more bad, like maybe funding terrorism or whatsoever. So then, if I had like, well, he could be doing that. I had to ask questions, and yeah, based on that questions, I most likely went to the blockchain, checked everything. It sounds maybe cool because it's maybe a sort of an investigation
Sure.
type of thing. But in general, I would say 99% of the cases, there's nothing. Like it's all okay, and you're just you're just filling in a standardized form, and
Yeah.
it gets really, really repetitive.
I get that.
So after a year, I was like, well, this is not something I like, so let's leave. And I was already in crypto from 2017.
Okay.
Like the beginning of 2017. So we're talking, what's the time frame now? We're talking 2021 when I left the bank. When I left the
Oh,
bank.
okay. All right.
And I was like, well, what should I do? I really like crypto. I'm already here for so many years, but yeah, I'm not sure what I should do within crypto. So the first thing I did was I was like, well, let's just check what sort of jobs are open, right? And all of these jobs, like there were some cool jobs. Honestly, there were cool jobs like within data, within finance. But I was like, well, then I'm just going to do something which, well, in another industry, but it's still kind of the same. And I
Sure.
never wanted to do it. So then I was like, well, maybe I can start something for my own. And I was like, well, what should it be? And then it struck me that a lot of information, especially information streams within crypto, they are not accessible at all.
Sure. Yeah.
There are, like, for a lot of retail investors, it's really hard to gather good information, accurate information, because let's face it, if there's a YouTube video on a specific coin, this specific YouTuber, most likely, I'm not saying all of them has, but most likely they have an incentive to do so. It
Right.
could be a social one, it could be a financial one.
Sure.
And that's not something you would like to see as a retail investor. You would like to get something which is objective and is from a third party which doesn't have any incentive. So I was like, well, we could do that. We could be a research company where we basically equalize the play field for both parties. So for the retail investor, they get like a document where everything they have to know. So basically, they do your own research kind of thing. We do it for you. The only thing you have to do is read it. I was like, well, that's kind of a good idea. And
Yeah.
from there on, House of Chimera started. Like, we're only 1 year old. Actually, we're only 1 year old at the moment. But it's been it's been actually quite good. Much better than I actually expected in the beginning.
Sure.
Because the reason why I had this, I was kind of expecting to be like not going to be onboarding a lot of clients was I was only 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe projects come to me and they're like, well, yeah, you are young. So what are you going to tell us, right?
Sure.
Especially in the traditional finance world, that's the thing. But luckily that didn't really happen. And I think we also kind of did a good job with in identifying good projects early on, because we were like our first project we worked with was Matic Network, which is Polygon Network now.
Sure.
But back then it was really small, and nowadays it's like I think top 20, top 25 based on market cap. So that basically made a snowball effect. And yeah, that's how we actually we started the company, and that's basically how the snowball get bigger and bigger.
No, that's great, man. I mean, and at such a young age, it sounds like you already got a great handle on like where you're headed with House of Chimera. And the thing that, I mean, it's so thorough. Like, how does your process work? Like, do you have a bullet list of things that you touch on with each project, or is it on a project to project basis?
So yeah, we have this standardized format. Okay. Whereby, we try. The reason why we want to standardize it, because you want to hit a certain quality benchmark every time. And obviously, for example, let's take Dexlot, which falls under the DeFi umbrella. Yeah. You might want to focus on different aspects than if you want to you make a document based on a game, because a game doesn't have as much operational risks than a DeFi product, because obviously a DeFi product uses a lot of smart contracts, which obviously can be exploited, especially if they have some sort of landing platform, staking platform, and all that. Sure. Whereby most games, it's just a game. So yeah, sure, they have treasury and all that, but in general, this is like the mechanics behind it are different. The risk is different, especially because in treasury is only their money and not the money of the investor. Well, staking, you are staking your money. So that's the different sort of risks. So we have these bullet points, but you kind of try to adjust them based on the industry.
I get it. That makes sense. That's awesome, man. We've been fans of your work over at Dexalot for a while. So, and obviously you guys did a pretty lengthy write up on Dexalot, and I remember looking at that and just, there's a lot there, man. So thank you for all the work you do, and it's Firestorm. What's happening?
Yeah.
You're taking the Jimmy role today, man.
No. I like the conversation. So, I'm just kidding. My interests are a little bit different. I obviously know the quality of the work that you guys produce. Obviously we sort of talk to you quite a lot in the context of pre-launch for Dexalot. But my question to you is, do you already see a significant uptick in percentage of projects that you see that are higher quality? And just to provide context, now that we are in a significant downturn, at least with respect to crypto, I think the other markets, while they're down, people argue both ways. My view and my expectation is most of the projects that weren't serious enough should have disappeared. And I'm wondering, I don't look at as many projects as you do probably, and I'm wondering if that theory from your perspective is accurate or not. What do you think?
It's a good take, and I definitely agree with you. This will happen in the future, but currently it didn't really happen yet. It's just like how the traditional economy also work. It's lagged. What do I mean with it's lagged?
It's because too early. You think still interesting?
Sorry,
I missed that. Too early for that to happen.
I think it's too early because the bad projects basically they either already got some sort of funding, so they can still basically survive, and the really bad projects, they didn't even launch, so we don't know if they actually went to the market because they are not coming to us anymore. Because at the end of the day, if you come to us, you need some sort of funding, otherwise I will most likely reject you. If you have zero funding, I will most likely reject you.
So the very interesting thing at the back of what you just said that I've observed is looking back at the bull market that we just sort of exited, right? The most successful capital raises were the ones where the projects promised a lot of things, had a
Yep.
very lengthy roadmap, didn't really have much to show, and they were able to raise on hype versus the projects that ended up waiting to raise the capital until there was a prototype or something live, seemed to have suffered a little bit more. That's sort of been my observation. Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
And how sad is that, bro? It's so weird,
it
right?
is super sad, but the thing is, the market is just really inefficient. Like, I mean, per definition, financial markets are inefficient. The reason why they're inefficient, because there's always some sort of information asymmetry. One stakeholder or one in crypto, you couldn't really call them stakeholders. In the traditional world, obviously you could, but let's say one VC in crypto, they most of the times have more information than a retail investor. I think there was just another article, I'm not sure by what website it was, but that like inside trading and big exchanges, centralized exchanges it's happening on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatsoever.
Wait, people didn't know that? Like, come on, like.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
there's been so many freaking scandals. BitMEX was shutting down other market makers for their own. Like, this is well known. This is why DexAlot exists, right? I'm shocked every time people lose their minds when they hear about like how the centralized exchanges are like, ripping their faces off. I always get surprised. But anyway, sorry. Continue.
No, it's true, and it's also good that you bring up DexAlot, because that's actually also one of the reasons why I want to be engaged with DexAlot, because we were like, well, there's so many shady things within centralized exchanges. Well, most DEXs, sure, it works, but it's just a bit too hard for the common investor, especially for non-crypto people. And then I was like, well, how can we as House of Chimera engage with them, and how can we make it better, and how can we provide a document so other people also get like convinced? But yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's really, yeah. Sorry.
I'm just going to ask you a sort of related but slightly different question. Why don't you finish first? Then I'm going to ask you to remember your compliance days, and I'm going to ask you something related.
Sure. So, like, it's really weird, but we have seen this quite a bit, and it's not to like talk bad about venture capitals, but how crypto venture capitals operate, and not all of them, obviously. You have some really, really good ones, but unfortunately, you also have like below average ones, right? And unfortunately, these below average ones still have a relatively big capital size, because we were in a bullish market. So if they did some sort of risk management, they still have something left. But the wrong thing is, and that's actually really sad, is if you look how traditional venture capitals operate, right? They exit between 7 and 8 years. That's a good exit. Everything after that is considered a bad exit. Everything before that is a good exit. Obviously, if you can exit even earlier, that's good. And now think about, when do crypto venture capitals exit? That's on TGE. If they can sell their TGE unlock on TGE, they will do it. They will definitely sell it. And that's something which is really weird, because then you are misusing the venture capital term. And that's also why hype works. Hype works. And that's why, they fund it and they get the money back, because they are only there for the short term.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. I've actually seen all types of actors, right? I've seen the investors, the VCs who 100% sell at TGE, as well as the ones that don't even touch. There was a recent Twitter thread ranking different VCs from on-chain wallet activity. If I find it, I'll send it to you. And it's a very interesting read. Some of those names, some of the big, powerful names out there are actually good citizens for projects. And then some of the other ones that you always hear, mediocre or good things about, are actually 100% dumping at TG, which obviously is not what the projects are looking for. But I mean, look, on the flip side, the reason why there exists a TGE is so that VCs can risk manage as well. I feel like, and I've been of this camp as well. I feel like, I yelled at VCs and be like, dude, you guys are dumping, you guys are selling. Like, we have, with the projects that I've been involved with, we've looked at stuff like that. But in the end, if you don't want people selling, then don't put a TG in there, right? Like, I think this idea goes both ways, right? If projects don't want any pressure from their investors, then they gotta reduce the TG at the expense of not being able to capital raise. I think it's a fine balance, but yeah,
it's true. I agree. Like, you have these both parties. Unfortunately, in my experience, if you basically weigh the good citizens against the bad citizens, it's imbalanced. Like, you have much more bad venture capitals, if you can call them bad in the sense of they aggressively sell against others which are holding. And for example, you already could easily, basically, obviously you can prevent the problem, but as a good venture capital, you can definitely sell on TGE, but just let the project know. Just let them know that you're gonna sell and how you sell.
And also, given that my background is actually algorithmic execution, there are different ways of selling things, right? There is the concept of market impact, and you can absolutely be a little bit softer handed so that your impact on the market is limited.
Exactly.
By the way, I was going to ask you now.
Sure.
You talked about centralized exchanges. You talked about your background being in compliance as well. I'm sure you learned at least some stuff. What's your view with respect to regulators, and if blockchain helps them or hurts them with respect to trading, markets, etc.?
It's both ways. Like, it helps them because it's transparent. They can just see it. So in that respect, it definitely helps them. However, it also don't help them because, let's say, for example, what we did at bank is, for example, this. So we ask your portfolio address, and then we ask, for example, can you give us some transaction IDs of your most important transactions, how you can show us how you get the money in the first place. And what people then tend to do, if they have to hide something, they will give you maybe, this actually happened. A guy sent us over 1,000 transaction IDs. And that's not something I'm looking for, because then I have to weed for all the IDs. So it's basically, the banks can get prone really fast to information overload because there is so much information available. So in that case, it can be really helpful for them because it's transparent, but it can get really tough really soon. In terms of regulation, I'm quite open to regulation. I think especially stablecoins, they have to get regulated. So we have at least to have some idea how they get backed, how they operate. Because the thing is, for example, with Celsius, which is obviously a lender platform, it's weird for me that people give money to a company and they have no real idea how this company does actually operate, how their books are, and what they do with your money. I mean, sure, you also have banks.
Now we know. Yeah. Right? They do unsecured loans to aggressive hedge funds. Turns out.
Yeah. I mean, but that's weird. That's weird, right? Like, it's like giving your money to your to someone next to the street, which you don't know, and you just hope that he's gonna give it back because you have no collateral. And I kind of feel. And that's where, back to what I said earlier about the market being inefficient. It's also kind of on the investor here, and it maybe sounds a bit harsh, but the real mindset of earning as much money as in the shortest time as possible. Yeah, guys, it really has to change. Like 20% on stable coins, guys. It's not going to happen. And 40%, I've seen, I'm not going to name it, there's even one out there which gives you 40% at the moment. Yeah, that's a lot. Let's put it that way. That's a lot of money, a lot of interest. So be careful with these sort of things.
By the way, going back to the regulation point, or rather compliance, regulation, etc. point. Now, I've been in seats where I was getting asked daily about certain transactions. Why did my algo do XYZ? Prove to me that this wasn't nefarious, right? So we had to go to the logs. We had to pull out the reasoning as to why the algo produced those orders, why it submitted them, why it traded them, yada, 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 right? And, I think the compliance, the regulatory side needs to evolve to a point where it becomes automatic, right?
Yeah.
For example, what do regulators care about? Spoofing, right? The number one thing that you're not supposed to do. We already know this happens a lot on centralized exchanges, but they can easily build applications that detect patterns either across similar wallets, like the same wallet doing certain bad behaviors, or across multiple correlated wallets, and not even need humans, right? Like you can write automation that gives you the information at which point you engage a human to sort of engage. The fact that this data on it being on the blockchain now opens it up for them never to need to ask a question to the banks, to the hedge funds, etc. Like it's already on chain. The only feedback cycle I would expect there is they detect somebody who's spoofing, then they go after that wallet through whatever means they have so that they can stop that activity. Versus in TradFi, the way it works is, as you said, they're going to get a million execution dump either from the exchange or the bank. Then they're going to have to comb through that. Then they're going to try to spot check, like they'll say, on this date at this time, here are some transactions I'm interested in. Prove to me that these are good. And most of the time, they'll miss the bad activity, especially if the bad activity is not consistent.
Yeah.
So I feel like blockchain and markets activity moving to blockchain is truly going to change the game and make regulation easier. And ultimately, it will allow them to reach their mandate better, which is basically protecting the good actors of the market and preventing bad and malicious activity on the market as well. So that's kind of my view. We're obviously not there, but we can definitely get there if the right investments are made in, both the trading being on chain as well as the regulation being done via public data available.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the thing is, and it's out of my own experience, my bank where I was working for, which was the third biggest bank in the Netherlands, they didn't invest at all in compliance. It's not making them money. They don't care. The only reason why they are doing it is because the regulatory.
Where was the bank? Did you say Netherlands?
Yeah, Netherlands.
Okay,
it's even state owned.
Interesting. That makes me smile a little bit, because that means, I guess, if it's state owned, maybe it gets away with but like, in the US, the compliance makes you money, because when you get slapped by $10 billion fees, you can talk those fees down to $1 billion if you promise to hire compliance staff.
Sure. That's true. So basically, that's definitely true. But what they tend to do is they're like, well, we're not gonna integrate fancy automatic stuff, because that costs a lot of money, right? So we're just gonna hire a lot of people. We're gonna hire a lot of people, and that's what it did. So, for example, we were one of the big. I think we were even one of the biggest departments in the bank, because there were so many people working on compliance. Because labor is a bit more. Yeah, it's especially in the short term. It's more inexpensive, right? Like a big integration of a fancy script, that's going to cost a lot of money, because the bank was running on spaghetti code. So that's going to cost a lot of money, and maybe even have to overhaul the whole system. So out of my experience, if I can be really honest with you, and I'm going to be really honest with you, compliance doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. Like the chances of you really getting caught are so slim. The system doesn't work, because how it works in Netherlands is like, whenever you see like a transaction which you think is not like is maybe because you never can be really sure, maybe has to do something with money laundering, it goes to like the FIU, which is I think it's in every country, the process is the same. The bank sends the report to the FIU, and the FIU checks it. But in the Netherlands, there is like, if I'm not mistaken, the FIU is like 15 people. And we have like, how many banks? Like 6? How are these people gonna check all the reports? They can't. So what they do, they check certain segments. So maybe
spot check is the term.
Yes, spot check. And that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, you heard it here, guys. Well,
yeah,
I gotta tell you. Oh, go ahead.
It's a weird system. It's a really weird, and it costs a lot of money.
Every time, I gotta tell you guys, I'm speaking to our guests, my co-hosts in the chat right now. I just noticed that my hat is really tight, and you might not think this has anything to do with what we're talking about, but I realized what it is. Every time I hear these conversations on the show, my brain grows a little bit. You know what I mean? And my hat gets a little tighter because my head grows. So that's what just happened. I got to do one more loop. I got a good thing I'm wearing a snapback. You know what I mean? So, guys, I know you're both big fans of Dexter. Diedo, I know you're a Dexter fan. You've actually met Dexter in person at our event in Barcelona, right?
Yeah, and I also haven't met him in Austin as well.
Oh my God, you met him in Austin, dude. Was it like a million degrees in Austin?
Oh yeah. It was so hard. Like it was
Dexter, man.
It was really poor Dexter. It was like 44 Celsius. I'm not sure what the Fahrenheit is, but it was like scorching outside. Yeah,
it's like not in the 90s. Yeah, hundreds. Well, I don't. Were you? So have you been following the Red Bull soapbox race saga? Sorry to completely turn from regulation, but I know you're a fan, so I wanted to bring this up.
Checked then. So I checked the Twitters. I basically checked the Dexter Twitter, and one thing which really which I really found funny. Whenever Dex was pushing the car, right, he fell, and it was gold. I watched it maybe 4 or 5 times. I was gold. But yeah, I found it was really funny to see that. Like, it was really funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We can't shut up about it, quite frankly. I mean, I'm sure you got chat. I'm sure you guys know by now. You know what I mean? And you know, we have to revisit that day one more time because our guys at Sobol Solutions put together an amazing recap. And is it okay? Are you guys down to see this again? Is this cool?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hell yeah.
Can we revisit the Red Bull soapbox race from the Dexalot perspective right now? Let's do it.
Awesome.
That was hot business. I love that video. Shout out to the Soul Bowl boys. Did you guys see Dexter hit that clapping push-up?
Yeah, I saw that.
Dexter's been hitting the gym, bros.
Yeah, you know? He's fit.
Dexter's getting swole over here. We're going to be calling him Flexter pretty soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should. Actually, you should. Like, damn, you guys are absolutely marketing geniuses. Like, I love it. I love it.
That's very
I
kind.
love it. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
really
very
cool.
much. We try very, our main core philosophy of everything we do when we're doing our marketing stuff, when we're trying to think about how to talk about decks a lot, and it's just what's fun. How do we make this as fun as possible? We're fun guys that like to have fun. Our team is all fun guys that like to have fun. I mean, so we bring that energy to our promotions, man. That's just what we're trying to do. And just trying to innovate in the space in the same way as we're doing with the actual platform. You know what I mean?
That's really good. That's really, really good. Because the thing is, with most crypto projects, they all do the same, right? Like, there's just a marketing campaign, which most of the times they use some macro KOLs, some really big micro KOLs, and based on that, it's like, well, you guys are going to retweet it, and based on the retweets, we hope to get potential investors. But the funny thing is, and that's why I found it genius, is you see all these people making pictures with Dexter, right? Yep. And I guarantee you, these people are most likely, not all of them are crypto investors, but they see Dexter a lot and like, wow, that's cool. Oh, and a few of them might actually Google you guys.
Oh, definitely.
And that's a much more valuable way than just, well, let's hire some influencers.
And it helps that Dexter is a party animal. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Dexter had the ladies in that clip. You know what I mean? Like, the kids love Dexter. They all wanted pictures with him. One guy, and I said this last week, but it bears repeating. My favorite bit that I overheard at the soapbox race was, "Good luck, Pokemon. I hope you win." And the guy's kid said to him, "No, Dad, that's an axolotl." So the kids know, man. They know about the axolotl.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Well, we don't have a ton of time left, but before we jump back into some tunes, chat, do you have any questions? We've had Diedo on for almost the whole show, and we've been covering a lot of ground. When house music, geez, Con, that's not a Diedo question. All right, well, and that reminds me, Diedo, I have a question for you. I'm gonna play some more music. And do you have any requests for the mix when I get back into that?
So let's stay with the hip hop vibes, right? So let's
in your face, Con.
Yeah, sorry, Con. So let's do Tupac, Old School. Let's just begin with that one.
Okay. All right. I know you're a Biggie fan too, so I might dip into some Biggie for you.
Biggie's cool too.
Let me see what I can do. Con, I'm messing with you, man. I got your bet. Here's the thing. I was DJing earlier, bro. I know you saw me go from rap to house music seamlessly. The chat even said something about it. I got you, man. All right. Diedo, would you consider coming back to In the Club with us to rap some more about our respective worlds? We would love to have you back, man. This was awesome. Sure.
Let's talk about it. Like, I'm always up to be here. It's awesome.
My man. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all your work, guys. Make sure you're following House of Chimera on Twitter. I know you guys are dropping something soon, right? Or did you drop something today?
No, tomorrow. If everything goes well, a new races will go live tomorrow.
All right, a little bit of tiny bit of alpha, new research going live tomorrow from House of Chimera.
That is an alpha, yeah.
Yo. Boom. All right, you saw the Twitter handle. Thanks to our producer Diedo. Thank you so much for being here, man. I'm gonna start up the mix. Please stick with us so we can listen to some rap together.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for the invite, both of you. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.